All right, let's see if we can get this one started and on the road. A little bit earlier than expected, but nothing wrong with that. Now let's see if we can get everything else set up, and then we have ourselves, which should be a banger of an early game, I think, for week 2, and certainly a good starting one. In terms of games to start with, this one does feel like one of the best you could even ask for. I mean, no one's going to complain. You know exactly what you're going to get. It's going to be a damn good time with 2 pretty damn good teams. That alone is something to be happy about, and I think you should be, with a reasonable, at least. Is it going to be the closest? No, I currently have this with Synergy winning at a 7-2, but remember, stats are only stats, predictions only predictions. I've been wrong more than once. Also remember, technically 5.2 is a good team on stats, so anything can happen. Likeliness, that's a different thing, but anything can happen. Look at Zave's 6-round comeback. Look at, I don't know, Monarchs winning in playoffs. First band's off, and they're very, very basic, very, very plain. They're your vanilla gorilla, of the, if you will, of these bands. It's your pumpkin spice white girl. That doesn't mean they're bad. I'd argue that a Caden Mira band is pretty standard and very, very good for a reason on the side of Clubhouse. Maverick is a little bit more debatable, and I do love Grim bands. I am personally a very, very big Grim hater. I love him on my teams, and I hate him when he's against me. A good playbook and a good team can make absolute use of that kid, so I think they'll be glad to take it off a little bit earlier than, you know, having to maybe worry about it later on. Overall, although, it should be a relatively fun game, and I will say it is a little odd to see Snuggies in. He is generally not, but he is technically the leader of this team, so always watch with that. Now give me an option. Give me the plan. And we do see a bit of an odd pick. Or at least not an odd pick. An odd person to even see nowadays, Scatter. If you were back during the OG days of SSL and maybe Jaeger League, you would recognize that name as someone who used to be kind of good. He was probably one of the top role players at a time. Nowadays, he's certainly, I don't think, a little bit more of a questionable arc, as he's not what he used to be, but you might see something. I think calling it your bad is probably the most we look forward to. Donut isn't generally a threat, but calling it your bad has had great, great games sometimes, so watch for him. I think he's the biggest player in this long term, but you always got to remember, you can never truly tell. You're working a little bit off of guesses and maybes, but obviously that doesn't look too good, especially when you're trying to be a caster. Those predictions can be a little bit iffy, no matter how perfect your stats are, and it gets even more iffy in PC, or excuse me, in console, I'd argue, because teams are a little bit more volatile. That does make for a better game and more upsets, but it makes trying to predict one certainly much harder. So, always have, I think, that variable of you don't really know quite yet. You do never know, though. Sometimes those things are there, sometimes they're not. Overall, though, I do expect a probably dominant win overall for the side of Synergy, but to start off, you're at least seeing your bad grab that first entry. If anyone on this team was going to do it, it's going to be your bad. He is going to be the reason this team wins if Redemption does pull it out. I will admit, if they do win, this would easily be the biggest upset, probably, by a pretty large margin, but Rainy's going to find Donut to at least tie it back up, make it a little bit easier, but you still have a much more, I think, treacherous second half here. Is now you're going to look for that verticality. You're going to look for those very odd and annoying fights to go against, but they're valuable. They're so important. Scatter is going to be found by a Snuggies or Garfield. C4, prefer the name. He goes by a handful, but early on, you're at least seeing that value. Pretty well done, too. I honestly do not check viewers, so the odds are I'm assuming it's like 3 viewers, because I look pretty sure I didn't add anyone. So, you might be cooked. And no Glybo today, actually. From what I knew, he was maybe going to play, but yeah, I thought he was going to play. I was told he was going to play. That was under the assumption. He is not here. I don't know why. So if I had a great answer, I wish, dude. I wish. Your bad knows what I'm talking about. Oh, wow. Dies with his first pick, and I don't think the man anyone expects to do crazy, but any value would be good value. Klept is eventually finished by Sprays, and Redemption do put up the first round. Not the team I thought it would be, but it was off the back of one man, and your bad is certainly, I think, the reason this team will win, if anything. But now, I was under the assumption that Glybo was coming, he was playing tonight. That is certainly not true anymore. I put up that stream notification like 3 hours ago. This is it's either 95 or 120 something delay. Because it depends, because I'm pretty sure this is Roller Rivals set. This is the preset for I have for Roller Rivals, so it should be 120, like 125. So there's no crazy stream sniping, because sometimes Roller Rivals players love to stream snipe. To the point where I literally had, in one game, out of like 35 viewers, I think 10 of them, like all 10 players were in the stream. Sometimes it can get a little bad. So, oh, I'll be damned. 18 viewers. Excuse me. Don't worry. Eventually we'll have better production than this overlay that isn't really optimized well. It's on my end. But we will soon have a a much better overlay with full production and some transitions in working in the webcam. That'll come, I don't know, hopefully soon. I commissioned a guy to help me to make a item, if you will, a esports configuration for a production software. So when that comes out, it'll be awesome to look at, and it'll make the transitions much sexier on your end. But until then, might want to wait just a little bit. And drops, actually, which I did not realize. I didn't even know there was drops until like 45 seconds ago when I saw my phone. I saw a notification about drops. I'm like, oh, sweet. Because technically, you do get drops if you stream to enough viewers. I don't remember. It's a weird thing, but like, I can farm drops from streaming. So, you know, it's one of those things you wouldn't really particularly look at, but it can happen. It's like a nice little plus if you are. We'll say Scatter is kind of, I think, the biggest possible dead weight here. He could do great, and he could come back to that, you know, maybe unwashed version of himself, but I don't really know if you expect that tonight in a game that isn't really that high stakes for his team. I think this one going in was kind of a, we're probably going to lose, but you never know. Maybe something can be put up here from your bad to bring it back, as, once again, if anyone is winning this game, it's going to be off of the back of this man, and he's going to be the only reason it's going to be a win for them. This team has its issues, and pretty significant ones at that. So if it happens, if you do see a win, your bad is probably going to have around 17, I think is what I have around the number that he needs to put up for this team to logistically win based off of averages and how this team really plays. However, that was also counted around Glybo being here and not Snuggies, but Pax is also here, so it's a little weird thing. And Jugo is in here. It's a whole thing. So my numbers are based around the assumed starting lineup, so give or take 2 or 3 kills, but he'll probably need around a minimum of 12 kills here to win this one. So your bad needs to have a pretty great game on his end. Or we need to see the greatest step up from a player that has been kind of washed in a long time, but I'm gladly willing to see a return to prime form, if you will. I just simply question the likeliness. Slamcut's holding very aggressively here on that hatch. At least getting, I think, the basic ready. And eventually, Sprays is looking for that drop, but I think he's going to be very, very careful about this drop, as it can be kind of dangerous generally. Not going to live this if you're not smart. And your options and odds of actually winning that drop, now that the hipfire is the only thing you can have, I don't like the odds. I don't like how it's going to play out if he does decide to, but so far it's been a little bit of a calm before the storm, I think, as they have that one-player advantage. And Synergy are maybe a little more backed off than expected. Klept is going to take a little bit of damage here. Take that first, I think, fight since that entry. You want to find something big here, though. If you can find Donut, if you can find just one pick and alleviate a little bit of the pressure that's going to come towards you, it could be so powerful. But instead, it feels a little bit slow to get there. We're also going to see a flash incoming. Ram's going to make her move. And he does find at least one. Donut finally finds his way in, finds 2 picks. Dominant so far, dies with another. He's on a double right now and finished off by your bad. And suddenly, maybe there's an upset brewing in the side, as I think without Glybo and Jugo, this team is no longer the same level of dominance that you're used to. This is the same team that was, I think, 0-1, which is hilarious to say, but it's not really their fault. They went against WildBoyZ with the full starting roster all locked in, which sucks, but I mean, you snooze, you lose. I say that as they started Glybo, Jugo, Slam, Klept, and then I don't remember who the last guy was, but like they started all the superstars and they lost to Andy's Term, Adexi, Uzek. I gotta check. That night was weird. It was a good game too. It was 8-6, I want to say. That game went on for forever. It was a banger. Hold on.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
It was Adexi, Snoozy, Andy's Term, JBA, Bars. My bad. I was not remembering that correctly. But that team beat 8-6 against Glybo, Jugo, Snug, Quex, Klept. So once again, a pretty good roster on both sides, but I think the overall consistency is just so much more important from the side of Obey, or WildBoyZ as they're more currently known. And it's really hard to beat that team either way. Adexi felt and looked amazing.
10 seconds left before insertion.
We'll see. I will, after this game is done, I might be out of here fast, so we'll see. We will certainly see. Is that the screenshot for who won the WildBoyZ and Synergy game is a Snapchat screenshot. Never thought I'd see the day where we're somehow getting this intel on Snapchat. Whatever. Klept. Okay, so at least he's aware a little bit, but anyways, risking his life there as he decided to back his entire ass just to be perfectly seen by all of outside. Maybe not the greatest timing on his end, but he still has a good chance to find some value here as long as he just gets something a little bit to work with. Would always be the best, and Pax could always take a step up. I mean, the man with quite a few followers and I think a little bit larger of a following than people expect. But if we can see him put up some big numbers, put up a big game here, it could certainly be the end of this. Well, as I say that, he dodged his eyes, and so far it just has not felt like the same synergy that almost won against the side of WildBoyZ. It feels like they're not there. They're not the same group of dominance, but Klept is at least putting in some value here, but he's going to have so many issues with the Blackbeard closing in. He's forced to try to make a chance, make a decision that's eventually going to have to lead to a team fight, but he's just stuck himself in a corner where something always has to happen. Slam finds more than one. Just finding those shots, giving them a chance to really pull this out. Perhaps not to shoot Claps, but Scatter just find Rain. Leaving it to a 3v2 with Synergy at the helm. Now Scatter, Donut do at least have a reasonable chance if they can find maybe Slam going aggressive, but it's going to be relying on a bad cross being held or an aggressive play. I don't think they're going to find it if they play it correct. If you just trade your numbers right, you already have Slam and Klept holding a good enough angle together. I don't see this winnable. However, if you can see an aggressive swing maybe from Klept, if you can bait out that big play, could get a hell of a lot closer. All down to one, but a beautiful shot from Klept finishes, which probably should be the end of the round as long as you don't play crazy. As Scatter's a man who used to be a legend, but I think a 1v3 these days with this kind of lineup is, I think, a little bit behind him now. Those days of absolute dominance are not what they used to be. Yeah, no. My bad for the notifications for Glybo, though. That was actually on me. I thought there was going to be Glybo until I saw End of Lobby. And Slam finishes, getting rid of Scatter. Weird chain of events, but eventually it does end with Synergy. Get themselves one round. I think if we showed anyone this score, they'd be a little surprised, let's be entirely honest. I don't think anyone's looking at the side of redemption and really believing, but, you know, maybe there's a plan here. Maybe there's a chance they can beat what would probably be one of the most dominant teams when their full starting roster is on. Because don't get me wrong, they are a great team, and they're probably top 3. But Glybo, I don't know if it's just a difference, but Glybo is not the same kind of kid that he is in compared from League to Roller Rivals. In Roller Rivals, he is dominant. He's always doing good. He's always assembling teams. He's playing his role. He's giving the comms. here he isn't that crazy. He's still good. Don't get me wrong. He's still averaging like a 1.3, but he isn't on that top level. He isn't there with people like Jeff Sicko, with Quex, with Popify, sometimes Vixel, but he's been kind of washed as of recent. And it is at least something a little bit worrying to look at. I'm not entirely worried, honestly, but it is something to look at. He is still Glybo. He has that clutch factor. He has one of the highest clutch percentages in the entirety of League ever, for a good reason. He deals with a hell of a lot more pressure in a lot of bigger games. Something like what feels like a scrim to him, most likely, for most of these BO1s, is going to give him a super high clutch percentage because he's used to the pressure. This is not the pressure. If you're playing with Jinxie, Stomp, and all of these GOATs of players, it's a little bit more terrifying to fail than compared to here, where I think it feels a little bit more like a level 1 compared to hell, the gates of hell over there in Roller Rivals Sundays. Like a Roller Prime. I will say, though, overall, I do have quite a bit of respect for the man. And it is a little sad we don't see him tonight, obviously. I think anyone and everyone was expecting him to show up because this is kind of his team. He isn't running it. Obviously, we do have Snuggies or Garfield or whatever he wants to go by nowadays running it. And he is kind of, I think, what I'd call a miracle worker, because you have Pax, Slam, Jugo, Klept, Rainy, Glyball, all of these super high personalities, all somehow working together, and almost all of them start pretty consistently. Glybo, God knows why he isn't starting, but I'm also pretty sure he's in college, so go figure, he has something to do. But, like, I mean, the dude is... It's impressive to be able to hold a team like this together. Most teams would struggle to even hold one of these players, but apparently it's no longer duct tape and prayer. It's truly angelic levels of keeping teams together. I have to assume he's a therapist or something, because I'm astonished these teams haven't said slurs or doxed each other. And the onslaught, the absolute barrage of impacts come towards the Monty, and still very limited success, despite literally 2 people's worth of impacts being wasted on 1 Monty. And they're playing it very, very safe, and they're very willing to. Sprays is maybe making a slow move, as Donut's just getting rid of the utility, nothing too crazy. But I think Sprays is very aware of the fact that he can't play too aggressive here. C4, with reasonable success. The damage is getting very, very close now to maybe you gotta worry. Now this is where you might be able to get a real shot on this and maybe find something, but Scatter is gonna maybe pop off here. Has the good angle, has the good plan. You just got to get down there and start making your move. But instead, Sprays is found by Rainy eventually after a long slog of meleeing and all of the above. Shots going to be taken. Slam is providing absolute value on the downstairs. Going to swing the front door. The madman he is probably going to die to Scatter here as he doesn't know he's there. Scatter finds 2, though. Rainy and Slam should give him a little bit of a better chance. But a 2v3, we've seen this before, and it feels so much harder to climb that wall. The disadvantage of one player can feel so important in these lower player scenarios. You know, if it's a 4v5, still kind of winnable. 2v3, though, doesn't feel as easy, and a 2v1 feels almost impossible against these top players sometimes. So you're going to certainly have to see another side of Scatter. Maybe he can show out, and maybe he can come back to what we know him as maybe 2 years ago, but we could see him. Donut, I think, has never really had that crazy peak that someone like Scatter has. He's had great moments, but he's never had that true season where he was genuinely like a dominant role player or a dominant entry. And I will say, probably the most dominant season we've seen ever is either Andy's term, rookie season Glybo in League, or I don't even know. Rookie season Glybo. It's hard to beat. Charlie Worley last season, 2.0 KD flat is kind of insane. He was also a Legion Shotgun wizard, but whatever works. Now shots me taken as Donut's the last man alive. He's just looking to find one more pick, add to that stat pad, as he knows damn well isn't finishing, and Klepp does in fact get that round on elimination too. He's glad to pad the stats, and a pretty good game for him so far. Respectable 5 kills, and the end of the day, he still has a refrag, a traded kill, and reliable enough so far. So, always something to look for and kind of pay attention to. I will say one player to look at in terms of how it's done is the side of Snuggies, or whatever you want to call him now. He goes by a bunch of names, but 100% cost still is pretty damn impressive. And I would love to say I'm surprised, but he loves to play like this. He's pretty consistently, maybe not the strongest on the team, maybe not the best aimer, but he does his job well. And is very, very good and better than almost anyone else. He can play those, unwanted positions. He can play the drone, play the hard support in a team filled with egos. But I think that's kind of what makes this team succeed, is that he's so willing to just commit himself to whatever the team needs and absolutely disregard his own, ego, own thinking. And that is kind of what has kept this team in a duct tape form together. Because let's be honest, the names here are big, the personalities are big, the egos are big. But when you have someone like him who's willing to grind, play the shitty roles, play the shitty characters, it provides a lot of value, and pretty consistently too. So, I think that's always going to keep this team together. That, and he's also very, very good at leading generally. I think a lot of teams struggle to get all of these players to even get on, but for the most part, all of these guys are pretty consistent in terms of who plays. Pax is almost always here. Slamka is pretty consistent in attendance, and yes, the actual 5 waivers a little between some players, but they always get a good roster enough to show up, and there's a reason they're always relatively good. I think this iteration of the roster with Glybo has a much higher ceiling, especially with Jugo there, but we'll see long term how this can work out with all the egos and come BO3 playoffs. Scatter and Sprays leave. I'm assuming this is going to be their rehost, as it looks all but unlikely, or all but likely, that we have the first rehost so far, and probably a pause. I think they might not use it, actually. They have a rehost, so they're allowed to. There is nothing against them using it, but I'm not going to call a forceful rehost if they don't plan on it. Oh no, because they all have passed. Oh, that sucks. That's a little unfortunate. This is a bit of a free round that you really can't get back. And it's not even your fault. It's literally just because everyone left a couple seconds late. And that is going to hurt, I think, quite a bit, as Dyes can maybe find a pick to pad, but I think he's very unfortunate. And now all that you're going to do is probably just try to delay the game here as much as you can. On my end, I can still pause, technically. I have that jurisdiction, If they're not in, pause away. But we do have one coming back. Now I need just... Oh, and... That is unfortunate. I'll pause until we get ourselves a full roster of players. But until then, you'll probably hear this a little bit late, but what's the so far consensus on Synergy as a team? Like, do we feel that this team is a contender? Do we feel that they're kind of a pretender? I might be stealing this from Benchwarmer Brand. If you know, you know. Do we feel that this team is probably going to drop 10, 15, kills a game pretty consistently, have MVP level players? Do we feel that could be a committee effort maybe? Charlie Worley, get off of TikTok, get on the Twitch and learn. Nobody is running the Legion except you. You weird ass player. Love the Legion. This Legion shotgun. And it works, so I can't even complain, because you had like a 2.0 KD on the damn thing, but ew. Stinky shotgun. Also, now as we do have ourselves a tech pause, Apple Music recommendation, or music recommendation the entire time. Oh. Yeah, no, this is your peak recommendation of the day. Break the Bank, unreleased, Cardi, Uzi, back when that album was kind of supposed to happen. And then it didn't happen, so we're all sad, because Cardi, Uzi would have been so peak. While we're kind of getting into this prep phase, let's see if we can find some very cool stats. Slamka with a 2-1 entries. Not the leading man, actually, as it is Dyes out of all people at 2-0. Trade differential is kind of all over the place and scattered. You're Bad has the highest at a 5-3, but no one has really taken that away. And I'm not super duper surprised, honestly. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Synergy is a very divisive team, and it's kind of dependent on who's starting. If you have Jugo and Glebo, they're a top 3 team. If they're starting, they're already going to be getting top 3. But That's the issue, though, is are they going to start? And then they lost to WildBoyZ and or Obey, and that is, I think, a very big statement from the team that is kind of known for having passion issues, but come the bright lights, come the strong contender, they did it. They 7-0 in there. Wait, what league? Hold on. What league? What league? I don't want no gatekeeping, because I need to know the VODs now. I'm a PC caster mostly. Not mostly. For a good chunk. So, if this is actually, you know, if this is a big league, I gotta pay attention. If it was Element 6 and they got, you know, the 7-0 a bum team, nah, I don't really care, but, you know. It's one of those things you look at and we'll see and watch. Scatter does find the first down to Snug, and maybe not the man we expected to find the first entry, but I think I've very gladly taken one. Come on, let's see what we have themselves in what could hopefully be a long game, but a 3-3 is looking ever so prevalent, as long as you don't see a big throw. I think Slamka packs surprisingly 0-3 still, and maybe not the man you expected to really be here, but at the end of the day, he can be that sort of player. He's always been, I think, this weird little in-between of a player where he isn't truly... No, he has been elite at times, but he's also been hilariously bad. And there isn't really a reason for either, which makes it a little bit more annoying because we've seen that elite play where you can be at a 1.7 KD, dominate top teams, and then it'll just fall off randomly. Hey, but one Scatter is found by Rainy. Slam finishes it off in a trade, and you do see what is likely a 4-2 half, but Sprays can always make a play here in a 2v1. Really, I think the odds are pretty damn slim, as Sprays is not known as a good clutch player. In fact, he's known as a relatively bad one, so we'll see. Oh, yeah, no, I know it's a... I'm in THL. Yeah, no, I know that. I just didn't realize they were in a team there. I mean, I'm supposed to be casting THL playoffs when that comes around, so you'll probably see me there. Just, you know, one of those things, yeah, I don't pay super close attention. But eventually it's finished off after a long time by a clap there. 2T2. Hold up. What did I miss? Bro, why is that like kind of goated though? Was anything important? I got added, but I can't tell if it's important or not. I'm gonna assume no, because he hasn't added me again, so not my issue. Also, I will say, hold on, I need to see who they beat, because I know THL relatively well teams-wise. I just didn't know they were in it, honestly. Are they the same TNS Energy? Is it them? To Be Determined Academy. And I know To Be Determined. I casted them in AEL. Amazing team, by the way. Alchemist, who's looked relatively good in T3. Where is Cyro? What the fuck is he doing there? Alright. WildBoyZ with Mosey, Mace, Lizard, Cooler Badger. Corvus. Where is... I'm trying to see this team on PC. I just straight up cannot find it. They're not Corvus. They're not that team. TNS Synergy, is it them? There you go. Yeah, TNS Synergy. Okay, so they go by that now. I forgot. Because it hasn't switched over yet, but yeah. Jugo, Slam, Klept. Who is that? Pax? Okay. I mean, it sounds like a good team. I'd have to, I think, certainly look a little bit deeper, but I like it. All right. It's something I'll look at least. I haven't looked too super hard into them, but if they're actually competing at that T3 level, I'll be looking. Okay, sorry about that. We're back and have the full game going now. To make sure... I didn't even know, yeah, Synergy was even a PC team, but, like, relatively good. I have to look a little bit more into them long-term, because I don't have the most details, but it's at least a start. And the impact trick goes out from dies, but a 4-2 half should give you... Yeah, I finally found them. It took forever, because I forgot TNS was their old org before OOG. It was weird. So... Synergy went from Madden Wise to Make-A-Wish, which is the rename, then to TNS, then to OOG. It is a whole weird circle, but it eventually does end in that. It just took forever to get there. Because I kind of forgot, even though I cast it for them multiple times. At least for Make-A-Wish, they paid for org casting, and then the dude didn't pay his numbers back. Like, fuck it. Whatever. No grudge held, and Rainy Donut all fine picks, but leaves themselves in a 3v4. As Scatter has actually looked relatively good, despite his maybe not crazy performance in terms of actual kills. What he has had is good flashes, but now you gotta have a little bit more than just flashes tonight, as this is the important game. And also a very, very hard angle to really look at. I don't even think he might see that, but your bad is still gonna find one. He's just holding the long one, waiting for his moment. Snug is gonna find something, but losing Slam, I think, is more important than that. But in the 1v3, it should be over as long as Scatter doesn't go crazy. And finished off by Snug. You have yourselves a 2-5 game. A relatively likely chance that this ends in a possible match point. I don't know. I could see a 7-2. That was the predicted score. I didn't want to believe it, but my predicted score might finally be close to accurate with this team. Synergy are weird to predict. Redemption or not, I know what they are. They're your bad is going to drop 25 if they're going to win, and otherwise this team's going to suck. Respectfully. I know this team. I know how they play. That is what they are. They are the definition of one man is their team. They're worse than what DCAG was doing on Old Void. Am I mistaken? This is what I get for not remembering my teams well enough.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right, let's see what we can find though. Playoff, nope. Come on. Can I find a single damn moment of this team? I swear Old Void had DCAG. Am I not mistaken? Whatever. I will say though, really quickly, Quex has been a little bit all over the place, at least early on. I think he just hasn't had that many starts, and he hasn't had his glorious king Popify. So it has been a little bit slower, but I would say to look out for him in terms of MVP watch for WildBoyZ League. He's probably top up there, if not arguably one of the biggest options to look out in terms of where it's going to go, how he's going to play. I would almost argue that he has a really good chance of hitting MVP. In fact, I'd argue him or Popify is probably one of the highest odd players. But I also have not done the stats or the numbers right for betting or like over-under odds. So take it with a large grain of salt from a stat nerd. I also will say Quex did have the highest playoff kills in history for SXL as a rookie at 103, first to break the 100 barrier. Nutty plays from him, and usually Quex wasn't that far behind either. Yeah, no, DK was Alchemist. Who am I thinking that was on Void? What? swear I'm tweaking now. Whatever, I've given up. I will say, I think that 907 is kind of filled with the most depth of a team right now. Dark is still on that team, and he has been nutty in playoffs with a 1.39 KD in the BO5 finals. The highest by far on the team of 907. So it seems that when the lights are actually bright and when it's important, that man locks the hell in. And it makes for a very, very good player and a very, very good team generally. And he's still going to put up good numbers. He's still going to be a good role player in the normal moments. And then he's going to rise to the occasion like some like an absolute demon. And one of the most absurd angles I've ever seen. Trying to be held from a castle here on a mirror, but he's still going to find it. Scatter at least finds one, but leaves it in a 3v1 as your bad might find us a miracle or even one pick, but it won't matter as it's going to be taken out by Slam, and you have yourself a match point. Synergy have themselves a game. Well, close to at least. 6-2 is at least a bit of a hard thing to come back from, and I'm no man to say it can't happen, but I'm going to be honest. If I was right early on, if my first prediction was right of a 7-2 Synergy win, I'm going to be kind of hyped. Because, like, that's kind of hype. Also, this is your interaction moment, audience. Who should I rate after this? Because, like, I always rate someone. It just feels right. I don't know. It feels wrong to not rate somebody. Just because, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing your thing, let's raid. But, like, who? Ooh, maybe 4. I'm thinking 4 maybe. That might be the one for it. Yeah, I think it's gonna be 4, honestly. My boy raids consistently, and I think that's where some... Lido! Holy shit, blast from the pass. My boy, dude, it's been a minute. Times have changed, man. It's been a minute. Hey, I mean, I sucked as a player, Lido. We don't ever talk about me playing, but, shit, I'm the best caster in console, arguably. Pretty good T3 caster. We're doing my thing. I'm nonchalant now, with a slightly deeper voice and a little bit less caring. Keyword slightly. Okay, let's go into those hopeful match MVPs. It's still a little bit close between Klept and Slam, but if you have one good game, if you have one good round here more accurately, Klept could certainly take it away. Your bad has been good, but he just hasn't stepped up to the occasion as much as you need him to, which is hilarious that you're relying on this man this much, but... sorry. You don't have much you can do here. Klept is just kind of like that. And Slam, but mostly Klept, let's be honest. Yeah, no, I mean, it's... I don't know. I'm struggling to see what to look for here for redemption. They have still a chance, obviously. It's not a team that's bad or has, you know, without... Every team has their flaws, but... Bro. All right, I have it set to 5 minutes of ads, okay? I'm sorry about the ads, but it ain't me for once. I have it set to 5 minutes. That's it. Okay, any other ads is Twitch's idea. I'm not trying to force y'all to sub. Okay, it's at minimum ads for a reason. I don't care about money. I mean, I do, but like... Oh, hold up. We're watching him now. He has the expensive emote. He has the expensive thing. He's rich. I say that with as if I don't have a memento, but Donut finds the first pick. Man's upstairs with a Fenrir in hand. Never really the person to be roaming, but that takes some diversity if you can find it, I guess. New. It's not DEI, it's DIG. Diversity in guns. Pax, though, finds Donut as making my rants, he's taken down. But Scatter still finds something as the Wash player puts it a little bit more, maybe trying to make sure my prediction doesn't go right, because that would be never possible. Hey, if it's a 7-4, I'm at least remotely close, but not even. Scatter finds it a 4v1 with a beautiful C4. My man said, don't worry, I'm going to go positive. Screw the team. I got to make sure my numbers look right. Now, the Rainy in a 1v4, he's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's an amazing player, but he's going to be finished off by dies. We have ourselves at least one more round to make sure my prediction does in fact go awry, because God forbid that shit lands. God forbid my prediction hits. Tough times. In a redemption timeout, I will be damned. I mean, I'm a little sad, honestly. I'm interested though. Maybe Redemption have themselves a comeback, but I don't know if I don't know. We'll see. Is there a chance? Yes, technically. Problem is, I don't really know who even wins. Who's gonna step up here if you win, is my thing. Is Scatter gonna do it? Is your bad gonna turn into what he finally needs to? I don't know. I just don't know who's gonna win this, is my thing. All right, let's see what we have, though. I'll be honest, I kind of have a little bit of surprise. I feel like the votes and what I've heard about Synergy is nowhere near as crazy as how much their roster is known for. The big names are there, but I think the hype isn't. We'll certainly see.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
The chance is all there, but now you have yourself a very, very hard defense CCTV. Not an easy one, and it's going to be much, much harder now that you don't have yourself in a zombie, but it can still be played, and it's realistically going to rely on a shield here if it is played right. We'll see, though. I'm a little bit let down. I mean, we'll see, but I have slight doubts about what is Synergy as a team, because they have, yeah, sort of said they have the names. Their actual like technical stat wise is absurdly good, but it feels like they're just missing something. And it's not even like it's a big thing. It feels like it's just like the smallest of differences. So somehow Rainey's already in. That man dropped the hatch faster than almost anyone I've ever seen. So. I'm speaking about Synergy in a bad light, but apparently the aggression is their calling card, because he dropped the hatch within maybe 5 seconds of getting next to it. Dude said, screw droning. I'm in fact going to drop this shit instantly. And the ping is at least going out. You start to know where he is. Your comms start to get together. Your plan starts to come together as you're hoping, maybe, to find it overall. But a very passive start so far, which is a little surprising, I'll be honest. The aggression early on, though, is you're maybe trying to find a pick, but you're going to run in, you're going to be found, and pretty quickly here by Scatter. Whereas Fate goes the way of Redemption. Maybe there's just a real chance. Not a large one, but Miracle is always there, but you got to pull it out now. You got to finish it. 3 rounds to do so, and all the chance for Synergy, but damage at least going to be found. Slam's going to find a little bit, but damage taken in return. Klepta's finding the first there for Synergy. Gets on the board, getting rid of sprays. Starting to free up that more annoying area here. Snug with another is going to make it a little bit closer, but taken out. Once again, brought back to a 3v3s. It feels like no one could find that real advantage, but Dies make sure it happens, but Slam Cup finally go down. going down, leaving just Klept and Pax to the last man on the job. Can they close it out in a 6-3? Can they save my record and say I'm correct? Well, it's going to be a hard task to do so, but they always could. They're always a good team, but you're taking a really hard angle here. Klept's going to have to, I think, fall back just a little bit just to save Grace, because it's such a hard shot to hit. Played pretty well by Donut as he just kept waiting for his moment, but he's going to be down to the fire. He walked into it. Maybe you're giving Pax a chance, but now he's got to win a pretty impossible fight, if you will. I don't think this fight is easy in any means, and you got to swing aggressively if you want to have it happen. Which makes it even harder. The aggressive swing goes out, but no damage found. Dies still feels perfectly fine winning this. All the health that he needs. Now he's just got to pull it out and finish. Aggression's got to be shown on one side. Your bat sitting in the corner, maybe waiting for his moment. Everyone's waiting for that one little second, that one chance you have, but who's me giving up by is an entirely different question, but your badge is going to find it for a bit of a freebie. Not even looking in the right direction. Maybe Redemption have a plan in mind. Maybe they have a comeback ready to go. Here is a real chance. Maybe the momentum is finally getting close. Loki, I forgot. Isn't Prime, like Roller Prime this weekend? Alright, yeah. I'm pretty sure Prime is this weekend. I will not be casting Grand Finals because Whiskey Run and or Double Shot will be taking that, but I might. Wait. We'll see. I might be being paid for something else.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
That's what we do have, though, is I think there's still a pretty good chance that maybe Redemption can find themselves 2 more rounds. We're not going to act like it's going to be an easy win if they do find it, but I do think it's in the list of possibilities, especially since we've seen Scatter, Your Bad, even Dice here step up in a position that wasn't really expected from them, but that rising to the moment might very well get them past that line and get them in an overtime. Your Bad has still kind of been the dominating force overall, despite the lack of kills. He's still 11-6 right now, +5 is a very large margin and the largest trade differential so far of today. But the entries have been held by another man as Dies 3-0 in the entries and cannot be stopped in these early fights. He's been a relatively large reason they keep winning is because these advantages go their way. 3-0 is a great player, and overall it does feel the entries are relatively well done, except for Randy. He's struggling quite a bit. Also, what are these tripwires? This isn't even that bad. It's just like Mission Impossible at some point. And I think a bit of a missed one here. Oh, wait, never mind. It's connected. I don't know what that was. It was just a random piece of garbage that caused it to wait just a second. The castle should buy you quite a bit of marginal time, and I think those last couple seconds can mean so much. You see Pax out of all people doing his value. Frostmat isn't found, but the deployable shield is just barely from Pax. His value is going to be found pretty early on as he's getting the entry. Or more accurately, another pick. Spray's going to try to bring it back. 3v4, it's all but chance now as you can find one here. If you can find the down on the sprays, it should make it all but easy. Leaving just Scatter and Dies, 2 players that have certainly stepped up, but much harder task now as Klept and Slam are both alive, both perfectly in the zone right now as they've been locked for a combined 21 and likely to hit much more tonight. All it takes is 2 more picks and you're home free, and finally you come back 1-1.